If you love dogs like I do, you'll understand the importance of caring for our furry family members. But sadly, though, so many dogs are waiting to be adopted from pet rescue organizations, and until they are, those shelters need our help. I'm John O'Hurley, and I'm asking you to donate $11 a month to the Puppy Food Bank. Your $11 donation will allow them to provide pet food to Texas pet shelters in need. So please donate $11 today at puppyfoodbank.org. And I'll send you this special gift as well.
I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. This is This Week in Cruton!
Good one.
It's This Week in Recruiting.
That was for the GMG.
With Greg Powers. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout and see his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And, of course, this is brought to you by our good chicken friends, Chicken Express.
Delicious chicken.
Chicken Express. I'm trying to think of something on the menu that I love that we haven't talked about.
Good luck.
But we talked about it all.
Corn nuggets probably don't get enough love.
I've told you this before. That's my standard order. They are standard order. Like it is. I get the box.
Yeah.
And then I get the 4-piece.
I will say
those corn nuggets. I'm like that's.
I got it. I mean, I'm going to lock you in on the underrated item because it's hard to get. Like it's hard to pull off. Catfish. Their catfish is excellent.
Yeah. See, that's the thing because then you're making a choice.
It's very consistent.
Yeah.
Flavorful, and you can go to some places that have some really terrible Chicken Express catfish is always good.
Yeah.
I've never had their fish or anything.
See, but that's the thing. Well, I'll tell you. Shout out to the Catholics.
So
Catholics
good.
back on top. Lent's coming up. Lent
There you go.
starts. Is next Wednesday Ash Wednesday?
Yeah, I
next
think
Wednesday's
so,
Ash
yeah.
Wednesday. So in a week, then we got to start going to the fish well there. And so I might be making a little trip and have some catfish at Chicken Express. Thanks,
Nice.
Chicken Express. We love you. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers. Let's start with our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise, we're going to Bay City, home of the Black Cats. Chad Morris, coach there.
Okay.
Guy who plays there. Carlon Jones, their defensive lineman, who has been a steady riser in the recruiting ranks. He picked up some offers this week from Houston and Wyoming. The Houston one seems particularly impactful if you're talking about the first P5 offer for him to go along with offers from places like Sam Houston, Texas State, and UTSA. He was a menace for Bay City this past year and seems to only be getting better.
Is it fair to say that Coach Traylor down at UTSA hasn't thrown yet? You know what I mean? Like, I can see Coach Traylor sitting on his UTSA throne. God dang it! Why did Houston offer this guy?
Yeah.
That I feel like I.
Well, but he's also. I mean, the thing is, what kind of sets him apart is you take a look at some highlights from Carlon Jones. One of the things that sets them apart is that they're so early on guys. They go and they're like, all right, we have identified you. You're a star. Why don't you come be a star with you?
I don't say that to say like, well, now UTSA ought to firmly be in this game, but Carlon Jones is a guy who I feel like in the spring evaluation period is just going to continue to collect more and more attention. 6'3", 260. You'll see him here on his highlight tape playing defensive end. We had the chance to put him inside at the Next Level Athlete Camp, and to me, he didn't walk away with the defensive line MVP honors that day. It went to Landon Rink, deservedly so. Landon had a tremendous camp, very technique sound, 2025 defender from Cy-Fair.
Imagine we'll be talking about him in future episodes.
Carlon Jones was like you have these guys who are camp warriors. Yeah. He was the camp warrior. Like, he wanted every rep. Like, he didn't want to let anyone else take a one-on-one. Like, he wanted to jump out there every time. Like, he's pushing guys out of the way. He's like, no, this rep belongs to me. And he won, like, almost all those reps. I think I guess I look at him as more of an interior prospect at the next level, but he has a good get-off as a defensive end, puts up good numbers. He had 29 tackles for a loss last season. 13 sacks from his spot at defensive end, and at 6'3", 260, that speed is going to be hard for interior linemen to match up with, or even if he plays strong side defensive end in a 3-4, which is basically kind of like a defensive tackle's position anyway. He's going to be a tough matchup. I really like Carlon Jones. I think he's going to be by the time we're talking about him on signing day next year, 20 offer guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a force up there, and it doesn't take long when you flip on the tape to understand why everyone's after Carlon Jones there at Bay City. Let's move on to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week, big win for Baylor. The Baylor Bears pick up a commitment from Lumberton defensive end Brock Jackson. He had a number of offers out there, including places like Texas Tech and a couple of SEC offers, but he ends up going to the Bears. You wrote on TexasFootball.com about his commitment to the Bears, and you said that Brock Jackson has got a hot motor.
Love it.
And yeah, again, another guy that when you flip on the tape, it stands out. It's like this guy's got some giddy up.
Really like Brock Jackson, and a lot of places have him listed at a little bit lower weight. He's officially 6'4", 243.
Mm-hmm.
So he's right around that 245-pound mark right now, starting to add some really good size to his frame. Relentless off the edge. He's a guy at that size who has experience standing up and playing linebacker, moves extremely well, and I think Dave Aranda is getting a guy who's going to be extremely versatile in that defense, can do a lot of different things, move around, and has a never say die or I'm never going to give up type of attitude. These are the type of guys that you build a defense around and are only going to, he's going to blossom in the strength and conditioning program. Just gets it from a football standpoint, and I think this was a really, really good addition for the Bears, who had, they're putting together a pretty solid class in the 2024 cycle right now. They recently picked up a commitment from Colton Siriaki from down at the Woodlands. He'll join his brother in Waco. Talented offensive lineman, I think that could be the future at center for the Bears, and then Jadon Porter from Lorena. A 4-star wide receiver. So with those three guys, they're starting to put together, I guess, what I would say anchors of what they're going to do in the class of 2024. And Brock Jackson is right up there with the best of them.
And one of the things that I feel like when you watch Baylor's defense under Dave Aranda, to me, if you are not Siaki Ika, if you are not a true blue zero tech nose guard, we want you to be versatile, and we want you to be able to play pretty much anywhere, and that, to me, is what Brock Jackson brings. He's a guy that, if you want to put his hand in the dirt, he can put his hand in the dirt. If you want to stand him up at an outside linebacker, if you need to drop him into coverage, he'll be fine. He'll be able to hold his own there. That, to me, is that makes him such a kind of a vintage Dave Aranda pickup here.
He's a throwback, very competitive. I guess it's not fair. Look at him. You know what I mean? He's 30 yards down the field breaking up a pass at 240 pounds.
Yeah.
So you say throwback, but he's not really he's a throwback from a mentality standpoint, but he's not a throwback from a attributes standpoint or a talent standpoint. He's a very new age style of defender.
So keep an eye on that. Brock Jackson, the newest Baylor come-in. It's This Week in Recruiting. Greg Powers. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Get involved with the conversation, #TF Today. Let's move on to our Underclassman of the Week. Our Underclassman of the Week, we're going to Bellville to talk about their soon-to-be junior DJ Sanders, who is the latest DCTF 4-star on TexasFootball.com.
Yes, sir.
/recruiting. He's already got offers from places like Texas and Miami and SMU. He already had places like Alabama, A&M, Baylor, Houston, Tech,
Wild.
Oklahoma. He's a monster out there, and he picked up he had 5 sacks. He was a menace there for Bellville this past year, and seems to only be getting better.
Are they the Brahmas?
They're the Brahmas.
Bramus. You don't make that mistake.
Great nickname.
Oh, yeah. And he plays like a Brahma.
So we had the
bull.
Black Cats and the Brahmas.
Yeah.
That's great.
And Lumberton's the Raiders, which is pretty good,
Yeah.
too.
We're
That's a good one.
And we're kind of a smallish school type thing here. This is 4A, and
3
4A.
defensive linemen so far, too. This guy's a monster. I mean, a monster. He was top 25 DCTF Rising freshman, top 50 DCTF Rising. So he's made all the lists so far. So finally we've unveiled him as a 4-star prospect, that he is a legitimate 5-star candidate. Maybe the top-rated defensive tackle. It's debatable with guys like David Hicks Jr. Right?
Yeah.
What is David Hicks Jr.?
Right.
It's a different era of defensive linemen. I think Hicks is going to play all over the place.
Yeah.
You got a guy like Nigel Smith in this year's class who could play inside out. But DJ Sanders is like a true blue defensive tackle prospect, and I think he'll be the highest rated one. What was the last one that was oh wow, like that's a
Oh yeah.
Georgia from Denton Ryan.
Bear Alexander.
Bear.
Yeah.
Bear Alexander was probably like that last. He's in that Bear Alexander
Like that
mix.
five-star.
Yeah,
that five-star
in
mix
that
as defensive tackle.
5-star mix at defensive tackle.
Well, and the thing
everybody's going to come out to Bellville to see
the
him.
thing that stands out to me about when you mention a guy like Bear Alexander, like everyone's like he had great size, obviously, but to me it's like he can run. Like
Right.
that was always the thing why I thought Bear was such a perfect like a nickname for him was like, yeah, you're getting chased by him and it's terrifying. Like and to me when I watch the tape on DJ Sanders, it's the same thing. He's a big man who's going to track you down.
Yeah, no doubt. And he's not only powerful, he's quick, and his numbers kind of back that up. He's another guy that racked up a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage and does a lot of different things to terrorize ball carriers, quarterbacks in the backfield, and has some cool ties. I think that he's the nephew to Emmanuel Sanders, who was a NFL vet and played at SMU.
I guess, yeah.
So he's got some pedigree to back up what he's doing on the field.
Keep an eye on him. DJ Sanders is a name you're going to hear a lot about in the class of 2025. Let's round it all out with our Recruit of the Week. Our Recruit of the Week, going to Frisco to talk about their soon-to-be senior offensive tackle, Max Anderson, who had quite a week around these
Great
parts.
week.
He picked up, he earned All-State, first-team All-State honors. He released a top 12, and he moved up to number 5 in the latest DCTF 2024 recruiting rankings, where now your DMs will tell you so. You released the top 50 on TexasFootball.com/recruiting.
Yeah, we updated the top 50. Man, what a tough list. We'll get, maybe we can follow up with after we talk about Max with how what it's like to put that together. But Max Anderson is a guy who I really feel like is a technique sound offensive lineman. I love his versatility up front. He plays left tackle at Frisco Reedy. He's a guy who could play, I think, any position on the offensive line, which makes his roster value extremely high for any college that wants to come after him. And whoa, buddy, does he have colleges coming after him? All of them.
Yeah.
Every college in the country wants a Max Anderson on their team.
So his top 12 are Alabama, Arkansas, Baylor, Florida, LSU, Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Oregon, Penn State, and Tennessee. Only one in-state school, and it's Baylor, which is a nice little win there for Dave Aranda and company. Still too early, I would presume, to have a lean here, but certainly everybody's coming after him, unless you want to.
I'm not going to pick like a school that I think he's going to sign with necessarily. I'll give some context what I feel like is why you don't see a lot of Texas schools on the list. His brother plays at Oklahoma. So he has a strong connection to Norman, and maybe, just maybe, those schools like a Texas or a Texas A&M aren't pushing as hard because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to go to. I don't want to like offer and really put my name in the mix for somebody who we may inherently not have a chance to sign. It might make me not look so good. So there's a strong connection to OU there with Max Anderson, and he's taken some visits obviously up to Norman, and that can be like a catch-22 too. That's just something to monitor.
Yeah.
You want to see his brother's career on the right trajectory there. That would help OU in their efforts to land Max. And if it goes sideways, then that could thwart their efforts to land him. So we'll just have to stay tuned to see how it all plays out. But of course, any list I think has to include OU when you're talking about this star from Frisco Reedy.
And he is a star and a name you're going to hear a lot about in the class of 2024, Max Anderson there at Frisco Reedy. Okay, let's talk about the top 50.
Okay.
Because the top 50 gets released, and like immediately I'm getting DMs from coaches. I know this is a tough process every single year, putting together the top 50 on TexasFootball.com/recruiting. But I think the feedback has been about what we expected it to be, which is a lot of people like, man, there's a lot of really good players in this class.
Yeah, no doubt. And like we can start a little bit at the top. Rivals.com updated their rankings yesterday, and they had Colin Simmons number 1. He's the number 3 player in the nation, and they had Micah Hudson either number 5 or number 6 in the nation. And I think that's our top 2, Colin Simmons and Micah Hudson. And I think that that's the correct call. You know, I think those guys are so close that they're almost interchangeable at the top. And to have them that close in the national rankings kind of signifies that. That's how I see him. I see it like as 1A and 1A. Like it's really going to be a tough process. The battle is on seriously between Micah Hudson and Colin Simmons the rest of the year, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some movement with. We already have, right? Micah Hudson was number 1 for almost a year, or at least a solid 6 months. We had him at number 1. We made the change powered behind Colin Simmons' tremendous junior season where he had 22 and a half sacks and set a school record, led the Panthers to a 6A Division I state championship, huge game on the grandest stage of them all, and just gave him enough juice to move up.
To
Last year's class, I want to say I felt good that there were 75 guys in the class who were 4-star talents, right?
And we only named 50. Yeah, to be clear.
So for the fans that are following this along maybe for the first time, the top 5 in the state will be 5-star prospects. The next 45 up to the top 50 will be 4-star prospects at DCTF. Last year in the class of 2023, I felt like 25 guys outside of that top 50 had the talent to be named 4 stars.
Right.
This year, it's still early. This year, I'm hitting like around 61.
Okay.
That I felt really good about, that these guys could be interchangeable from about number 40 up to about number 61. I would rate them very similarly. I would say that these are guys that if Texas, Texas A&M, Baylor, Texas Tech, OU, LSU, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio, these guys should think about offering them if they look at them. That's where I would say, like, that's how I kind of draw in my mind that 4-star line of being a national prospect that could play at any college. I'm going about 61 deep right now. So there are 11 guys who have they should
a
be
legit claim.
They should be in my DMs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Saying, hey, what about me? Well, trust me, it's tough. You can only pick one number 50.
Right.
The next guy has to be number 51, and that's a little glimpse behind the veil is how tough it really can be to rate some of those guys. Man, I feel bad for number 51 because he's a star.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly right.
I'll tell you this: number 51 has an offer from the national champs.
So there you go.
You know what I mean?
So
number 51 has an offer from the national champs, and we'll unveil the rest of that list next week. We're rolling out our top 10s positionally to give you like a clue of who some of those guys might be, but we'll finish updating the Hot 100 for next week.
It's all at texasfootball.com/recruiting, where you can find the fine work of Greg Powers, and follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Powers, appreciate it. Stick around because I need you to tell us who you talked to today.
I'll do it.
Thanks. Hey, thanks for watching this clip here on YouTube. If you like this kind of stuff and you want more of it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember, you can watch us live every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, or here on YouTube. And if you want more of the best coverage of football in the state of Texas, check out texasfootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at texasfootball.com/subscribe.